It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together. So, your song 2010 tells a lot of the story from back then. But for those viewers who aren't familiar with the song and aren't familiar with that part of your life, can you kind of summarize for us again what was going on with you in 2010, and then we'll zone in?
May, I got pregnant and I was working. I had a great job. I was working at AT&T at the time. I had gotten up to making like $17 an hour. And in 2009, 2010, that's good money for a 23-year-old that lives on her own. I had an apartment. I had 2 cars at the time, my own place to stay, and a good job, but I was pregnant. And being pregnant, for me, I was extremely sick. At 6 weeks, they put me on bed rest. And as a result of that, I ended up losing everything. I lost my cars. I had 2 cars at the time, and I lost my apartment. And it was over a matter of time, but I was dating this guy that was actually driving one of my cars at the time. And he was telling me, he was like, I'm paying the bills. I'm taking care of the car note. And then next thing you know, 2-3 months later, they're looking for the car because there's nothing being paid on it. And I know it's my responsibility. At 36, I'm looking at it now like that was my responsibility. But you want to be able to trust the person that you're in a relationship to carry you. And so I lost my job. I lost my job, my cars, and my apartment. And I remember my brother Tim, when they were getting ready to come take my Explorer, he was cleaning out the car for me because at this point I'm 5 months pregnant. And he was having a real serious conversation with me, during those times, just about, what the father of my child, because my brother's a father at this point. He has a 2-year at the time, he had a 2-year-old of his own. Okay. And so he's saying like, this is what he needs to do. This is what he needs to step up and start doing. And if he don't, you need to leave him and, just reassure me, you're going to be fine and all this other stuff. But he wasn't with the guy not stepping up and doing what he needed to do. And so we had that conversation. He had that conversation with the guy, and the guy was like, just assuring him, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm saving money. I'm stacking diapers. I'm doing whatever I need to do to make sure she and the baby is okay. And I never saw the stack of diapers or the stack of money. And the September of the same year in 2010, on September the 24th, it was a Thursday night, Friday morning, I got a call. I was laying in the bed, and my brother Travis, my youngest brother, called, and he was like, Laura, I missed it. Actually, I missed a couple of the calls. It was like 3 calls. And I finally got him on the phone, and he was like, Laura, you need to get up. Tim's been shot. And I said, I'm 5 months pregnant. I jump out of the bed and I'm like, what? He's like, Tim's been shot. I remember getting out of the bed and literally my emotions, I ran in place. I literally just ran in place, like, no, this can't be happening. There's no way this can be happening. And so I asked him, I said, where did he get shot at? He was like, he's breathing. He's fine. The ambulance has him. He's on the way to the hospital. And I said, where did he get shot at? He would never tell me. He kept saying, he's breathing. He's fine. He's on the way to the hospital. I said, Travis, where did he get shot at? And that's when he told me he got shot in the head. I think for me, I needed to hear where, because I needed to be able to face what the possibilities were. Okay. I couldn't not know. I could not have consider what the worst outcome could be. Not pregnant, not carrying a child. Like I couldn't. Right. And so we're a faith-based family. Like we believe in God. Like we do. We've experienced loss. We experienced it early as children, and so we've experienced it. But to have it come suddenly is a lot different than watching a parent or someone struggle with living because they're sick. And so I remember getting to the hospital, and my family did what my family does. They all showed up. Everybody was there, from Bishop, who is, of course, everyone knows is my uncle, to my dad, to my siblings. I had 2 siblings at the time that lived in North Carolina, so they weren't there then, but they ended up coming. And I remember sitting in the waiting room when the staff from the hospital came and they said, y'all, it's too many of y'all. Y'all got to leave. Somebody got to leave, because first of all, there was an active shooter. Like it's considered an active shooter out. We didn't know who the shooter was. We didn't know anything. And so for the safety of the hospital, they were like, you guys gotta, y'all gotta leave. And we didn't move immediately. Like, you can't tell us we got to leave and we're going to move. No, we got to figure this thing out. We didn't move immediately. And because I'm pregnant, I had to use the restroom. Can't control those bladder moments. And so I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, everybody was gone. Everybody was gone out of the waiting room. And I went to the nurse, and I was like, I need to go to the back. I need somebody take me back there where my brother is, because my family's back there with my brother. I'm assuming they didn't leave. There's no way in the world they left. They went to go see Tim. Okay. So I said, I need to go back there with my family. And she was like, nobody's back there. Yes, they are, because everybody was in here and nobody's in here. So they have to be back there with my brother. She kept saying, no, they're not back there. And I kept saying, yes, they are. Take me back there with my family. She said, I'll take you back there, but nobody else is back there. I said, well, just take me back there. She took me back, and sure enough, nobody else was back there. And so I was the first to see Tim. And I saw him by myself. And I went to the back, and when I saw him, he looked like Tim. He looked normal. He looked like he was resting. He looked like, he was just laying there. And they had all the machines. They had everything hooked up to him. He did have a tube in his mouth at the time. And he had a bandage wrapped around his head. And the nurse came in. They were actually they were in between shifts. And so the nurse came in. She said, you can stay back here for a few minutes, but we're getting ready to change shifts. And so the new nurse came in, and she said, she asked me, she said, what's his name? I said, Timothy. And she said, Tim. She patted him on his shoulder. No, she didn't. She talked to him. She said, Tim, I'm getting ready to take your temperature. And she took the thermometer and she placed it in his mouth. And Tim, his head was turned to the right. She was on the right side of the bed. And she said, Tim, I'm getting ready to take your temperature. And she took the thermometer and put it in his mouth, and he turned his head to the left side. And I was standing on the left side of the bed, and I started to pat him on his chest, and I said, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. And he, so she said, he can't hear you. I said, then why did you ask me what his name was? And so she said, that's a natural reflex that's happening to him. And I said, okay, well, she went ahead and continued to take his temperature and check his vital signs and everything. And I looked, and I noticed that there wasn't any blood being pumped. He wasn't giving him any blood. And so I said, why aren't y'all giving him any blood? And they said, because his heart is strong, it's pumping enough for him, it's able to. And I said, okay, that's fine, that's fine. And so I left out to go find my family, because where's y'all at? So I go find them, And I told him, I was like, y'all, I saw him and he looks fine. And so that, you know, at that time, you know, more people wanted to see him, you know.
Mhm.
And so every time one of my siblings went back, I would go back with them, and I would see the changes that happened over time. I would see, whereas he had the bandage that around his head where you couldn't see anything, the next time I went, you could see a little spot of blood in the
Okay.
back of his head, and then you could see his face starting to swell.
Okay.
And he had actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he got hit 3 times in his head. I think one was like directly in the back, and one went through up around his nose. And I can't remember there might have been twice, but I definitely remember the head, and one that landed like right behind his nose. And I saw the blood coming down or whatever on the bandage. And then the third time I went back, I think it was when Michelle she had gotten into town, and no, wait, because maybe Michelle was already still here. But the third time I went back, you could see that the bandage was a little bit more covered with the blood. And so it went from no blood to a spot of blood to the whole head was covered with blood, and the body was just swelling. And we couldn't get my brother Joe to go back. He just wouldn't go. He wouldn't go.
Okay.
And we kept asking him to come. And then the last time I went back was with him. I remember going back with Joseph, Joseph Jr., Nez, all of us went back. And this one time I went back, the time when I patted him on his chest, I told him he was okay. And I also told him that he could come out of this if he wanted to. Okay. And I was very careful with my words because I knew what we had gone through as children. Mm-hmm. And a part of me knew that because Timothy was so close to our mom, a part of me felt that if he got a glimpse of what a different life would have been, he would have chosen that. And so I remember leaving the hospital, going to the church. Bishop was at the church. He was detailing cars around this time. He was there, and I asked him for a towel. He gave me a towel, and I took it back to the hospital, and I laid it on his head. And the last time I went to see him, he had a tear coming down his face. And when I saw the tear coming down his face, I knew he wasn't coming back. I felt like he had made a decision. Right. I felt like he had made a decision. And as painful as I think the decision was for him, I think for me being the storyteller and the way I analyze and look at things, I'm thinking, okay, the tear is showing us that no, he's not coming back, and he hates what he's leaving behind, because he has a family. He has a 2-year-old. He got a whole two. She had just turned 3. He has a 3-year-old, and aside from that, he got 6 other siblings, and he know we love them. And I think it was painful to leave, but I think what he saw was better. And now, so I feel like that's what he did. I think he made a decision. Yes. And in that decision, it was major for my family. I remember going back to church that first Sunday. I remember it was that Friday night that Friday is when they told us basically that they were keeping him on the ventilator and the machines and all that kind of stuff to kind of keep his organs at a place where they could possibly be donated. They had that conversation with us on that Friday, and they said, this is why he's been on the machines. He's brain dead. They went ahead and said that there was no activity in his brain, and they wanted to know if we would be willing to donate parts of him to help somebody else live. I can't even remember what we did. We probably did, who knows. But I remember going back to church on that Sunday. We fell right back into what we do. oh, the hardest thing was not continuing, because he died doing what he died at a place where he was being fulfilled as a person. Music is what we do. Music is all around us. And so I don't know. And I don't even think we would have known what to do if we didn't go back to church.
Okay.
I don't know. But I remember walking on the stage and the church going up in an uproar. I remember Joseph being in the booth for the drums, and me walking straight to him and giving him a hug. And yeah. So it as much as we continued doing music, it definitely changed it for us. And for me, because more than anything, there wasn't a song that I wrote that Tim didn't hear.
Okay.
It wasn't a song I wrote he didn't hear. It wasn't an idea I had musically that I didn't take to him. Many people don't know it, but the Hallelujah song for the church choir, Timothy composed that. He produced the music for it. Yeah. Okay. I took it to him, and he's the creator of that, the music for that song. And so it's like the thing of it. And even, I mean, I did 2010, and 2010 I had to include him, but it's like pieces of who he was still, it's continuing to show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, yeah. So it made music for me different because I didn't have that person anymore. And not to make light of the rest of my family or dismiss anybody else's ability, because all of us have ability, but he was my person. He was, I think when it comes to creativity, he was the guy that understood what I was doing, because I do some off the wall stuff. Okay. But he understood it, and he would tell me, okay, maybe you do need to pull that back a little bit, or no, go with it. And it wasn't often that he would tell me no. He was very supportive of me doing me.
Right. Did you realize, even though you went to him, did you realize how he was for you? Or was it just this natural thing that you really couldn't fully appreciate until you didn't have it?
No, I think I honestly always realized it. So much so that I didn't want to do a project. My first project, he was the only feature on it. Like, I wasn't, I remember my first, the concert that I did, and because we didn't do stuff like that, we didn't use it because we loved it. We didn't do it to have pressure put on us, or and so, but I remember when I did the concert, the turnout was much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And Nation Shaker was the first song, and I got up there and I was singing, and then his rap came, and he got up there and he started rapping, and he froze, like he completely forgot what his lyrics were. And I'm looking at him like, just go. Like, no, nobody knows what you said anyway. You can freestyle it if you want to, but it was, I always knew. I always knew, and just him being taken away, it made it even more evident that, man, you were so present for me, and now you're not. And now,
so it felt like part of you, besides the sister piece, the musical piece.
Yeah.
It feels like part of that left. Did you know it immediately? Or
no, I wasn't even worried about it. Honestly, I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't thinking, no. And I think also because I was pregnant, I was already dealing with the fact that I was having a child out of wedlock. In the height, I wasn't traveling much in the height of my career. It completely stopped me. And so I wasn't really doing music that much anyway. I was still leading worship at church, and that was
What part of you, kind of what happened? I've lost 3 siblings. And I am not gonna cry. Huh. I've lost 3 siblings. None of them were sudden, but it still feels like the loss is because we're believers and because we know the power of God. Like, child, I remember when your mom passed. No lie, no lie. I thought we was about to see the resurrection. Like, no lie. I was fully, I ain't care nothing about no embalming or none of that. I would not have been surprised if Laura Ann hadn't got up from there.
Yeah.
So even with my siblings, just that hit, that blow. And I know for me, a lot of times because they were just always there, for me, I didn't truly, fully understand the part of me that they held up, the part of me that they were linked to until they were gone. So I know musically you knew. Do you feel like in any other areas of your life you felt the loss, or you felt the because I noticed too when my siblings passed, especially my sister Beck, she was like the hold everybody together girl.
Yeah.
And so when that hug, it didn't even feel like she was a spoke. It almost felt like she was a hub. When she moved, everything kind of, all the dynamics started to change.
Yeah.
In terms of those pieces,
Yeah.
where were you?
Tim was the entertainment and family outings. Like he was him and Jeremiah, they bless their hearts. Both born. They're 3 days, 3 days apart, I think.
Really?
27, Jeremiah's the 27th of September, and Tim was the 30th of September.
Oh, wow.
And so they were really, really close. And so you can see it in their actions. They both don't take nothing serious. And there was always laughter. There was always pranks. There was always just, you knew when he came into the room. Because he came loud. Like oh my God, Tim was aggravating, but he was aggravating to a place where it was just, eventually you're gonna laugh. I think the battle that I have is committing to beginning. So I have this thing, I think it's because I'm almost certain it's because of Bishop, where I told myself that I wasn't going to start anything that I wasn't going to finish. And I try my very best not to start anything that I have no desire to finish.
Okay.
And so I think my biggest battle was, or struggle was, knowing that there was something inside that I needed to get out. Not so much for not well, and it's twofold, because I could easily say not so much for me but for somebody else, but no, this time I think it was not for somebody else but for me, right? But I think that's always how my life has been set up. And I think because of what my parents and my aunts and uncles told me concerning my journey in getting here, with what the doctor said concerning me, that I probably wouldn't make it. And then losing mom at age 12, and going through what I went through from 12 to my adulthood. And I think it's always been evidence that there was something on my life, right? Committing to being all of that, it can become a little scary, because you know that they're like, back for people like us, we know backlash is real, and sometimes you just want to break, and sometimes you believe that if you don't do it, then you can get the break because you ain't got to worry about the
Right.
attacks, like you don't have to worry about it, right? But then when you don't do it, you don't get a break because you're not fulfilled, because you're not operating in purpose, and it's something like it's an ongoing battle with whether to do or not to do.
Yes.
Because of my 36 years of living, have been a testimony. Like I get it, and it's going to continue until forever, because now I've produced a miracle whose story will always be a testimony. And so it's like I gotta go ahead and just live with knowing, girl, this is your life.
It is.
This is what life is for you.
Yeah.
And I celebrate that God trusts me to carry this type of, I celebrate it, but I'm like, also, look, God.
Right.
Whenever you want to give me a break, I'll take it, but, and so
but at least you recognize.
Yeah.
And you've come to embrace, and you've come to know that no matter what, he got you, though.
He got me. He got me. He has not failed, and he will not.
Never will.
He never will. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Look, I don't like all this talking. So,
well, it's growing on you. I know that's what you say, but yeah, you got something to say, and you can't just go through life singing everything.
I be trying.
Nope. So I appreciate you, and I love you much.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the ssbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together. Missed any of our past episodes? Catch up on past shows on my YouTube channel at Marcy Bush, MarceyBush, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes.